What's going on, guys? It's Kid Easy here. So last week, instead of doing anything, meaningful with my life and improving in any way, I was just jumping around Orgrimmar, as I always do, aimlessly for like 15 minutes straight. And pretty much coming to terms with the fact that I should really just go all in on my ult. My Warlock pretty much has what it needs from Phase 1. It has the Epic Staff, it has the ring, it has the neck, the helm, all these nice little goodies from the raid. So I can kind of park it, not worry about hitting every lockout. But I kept thinking like, man, how do I get caught in this vortex of just drooling, staring at my screen, and just jumping around in a major city in WoW? I've done it in other iterations. I don't know how many times I've jumped around Dalaran, probably millions of times. Same with Stormwind, and I really started thinking deeply about jumping in WoW. So I figured, okay, there's probably an hour documentary someone's made about jumping and how awesome WoW's jump is, right? Literally just hitting spacebar. And to my surprise, nobody has made a video about just jumping in general, how freaking sick WoW's jump is. If you look up videos about jumping in other video games, people have waxed poetic about it. Masahiro Sakurai, the creator of Super Smash Bros., he did a whole video game design lesson on just the art of jumping and designing jumps.
魔界村は比較的低めのジャンプにして空中横移動がまるでできないという特徴があります。ジャンプした瞬間着地点も確定します。不自由なデメリットもありますが、ジャンプをよく考えなければならないゲーム性が生まれたり、引き打ちができるというメリットがありますね。
I really highly recommend everyone check out that video. But main idea to this video is, WoW's jump is amazing. And I think it's up there with the best jumps in Super Mario World, Jak and Daxter, Counter-Strike. The list goes on. Well, I think WoW, pound for pound, is in that S tier, along with the greatest jumps in all of video games. Maybe even my favorite jump in all video games. So I'm just going to get right into it, man. Jumping in WoW has just so much utility as far as fun and, gameplay use. When you jump in WoW, you pretty much prefer it to running. Hell, there are even most people who prefer it to swimming. How often do you see someone just swimming regularly and not jumping on the surface like a moron, right? And it's because it's reactive, it's fast, it gives you that instant player feedback. And I'm gonna go back to 2005 when I first played World of Warcraft, right? And I think what a lot of people don't talk about when they talk about WoW, they talk about just how revolutionary it was for MMOs. It's the blueprint of all action bar MMOs to come after 2004. But how WoW set itself apart from everything that came before it and even everything after it, right? Even new MMO releases. The jump is still king. It feels like you're playing a platformer, man. And I know there might be, younger people who are new to WoW and it's like, oh, dude, the jump is pretty overrated. I've played, all these other newer games that aren't MMOs, right? That have way better jumps. And yeah, of course, Mario Odyssey's jump is badass. But in terms of what WoW did to be like, okay, here's this really slick, polished, responsive MMO, and we have verticality, right, with jumping, right? You're gonna prefer jumping. There are gonna be times where you have to climb on mountains. One of the things that blew my mind, right, 14-year-old me talking to my buddies, and it's them explaining to me like, oh, if you think you can climb a mountain, you should, because there's secrets up top, right? And that was true. Like Duratar, there's that shaman quest where you had to climb this, kind of sheer cliff, if I'm remembering correctly. There was that backdoor exit out of the Valley of Trials to get to Ratchet that involved, a couple jumps. Getting to Wailing Caverns and getting the quests. You had to scale the mountain, certain spots, you had to, know how to jump up. And it blew my mind as a kid. I was coming from things like Anarchy Online. I'd played Guild Wars 1, which you couldn't jump at all. And the idea of this MMO that was sort of like a platformer as well, that's really, the standard WoW kind of brought with jumping that honestly hasn't been met to this day. And some people might say, oh, this MMO has better jumping. I have not seen it personally, right? So in the comments, let me know what MMO you think has a better jump than WoW. So let's get into the first part of why jumping is sick, right? And why it offers this really relaxing, cathartic feel, right? It's all the little mini player created jumping puzzles, throughout the game. When I'm in Stormwind, without fail, if I'm going to the bank or doing something with the auction house, I needed to jump to the top of the statue near the bank and get on top of the dude's head every single time. And every single time I do that, there's a few other people trying it too once they see me do it. It's just one of those things that's just so awesome. Leaving Stormwind, a lot of people, I still see a lot of people do this to this day. If they have to go out to Goldshire or duel outside, they will land at the flight path and just jump into the water, right? But there's this tiny little jumping puzzle where if you land on the barrel and then jump up to the next step, and you can screw this up multiple times in a row for being sloppy, but it allows you to just bypass all the water and take the bridge. Just things like that. It allows you autonomy and just getting around spaces, right? If you're a really good jumper, that's going to come into handy in Warsong Gulch, right? Not even if you're the flag carrier. If the druid goes above tunnel and he gets in that little nook, you can screw up the jumps if you're the DPS going to kill him. And if you're screwing up the jumps, people are going to slowly whittle away at you with dots and things like that, right? What else? Getting into other zones. It offers you like autonomy in your journey, right? When you're an Alliance player and you hit level 14, the best place you can go if you're not a Night Elf already is Darkshore, right? It's the best pound for pound XP you can get, right? You know, maybe next to the Barrens, right? It's just freaking phenomenal. And you have to scale the mountain and do a very specific jump where you pretty much land on a couple pixels to get it right. And I've screwed this up for like 10-15 minutes straight. I'll never forget this one time, me and my buddy were just trying to do the jumping puzzle. I think this was a Season of Mastery launch, so we were just rushing like sweats, right? And I got the jump instantly, and he couldn't. So me being cocky, watching him trying to do the jump, right? I was like, you know what? I'm gonna come down and show you how easy it is. I jump down, he instantly gets it, and I spend the next 20 minutes unable to make the jump, right? And he's just laughing at me, and we're both just so frustrated, like, dude, we're missing out on, you know, being ahead of the pack. Just things like that. It gives you access to exploration in other zones, right? Going to places like Higel, you know, certain areas that you can only, you know, fly over on flight paths, right? The Troll Village, things like that. It gets you access to secret summoning spots. You know, a lot of people frown on this, but this gave you extra security if you were on a server where your guild is likely to get wiped pre-Chrono Boon and lose all your world buffs. It was imperative that your guild set up summoning quote-unquote bots, right, accounts that would summon the entire raid. And to get to those summoning spots, they had to do specific jumps, and a lot of times these summoning, you know, clickers and all them would get killed, and they'd have to do the jump again, or luckily get summoned again, hopefully, if another guild was nice enough. Another one of my favorite things about jumping is that there's definitely a skill curve to jumping, right? Most players, I would hope, know when you jump, it increases your character's hitbox, right? Making you closer, right, to other objects, you know, that are targeting you. So really, if you're being chased or kited right by melee, don't jump, right? You're just making it so you could possibly get inside their, you know, intercept window if you're being chased by a warrior, or if you're, you know, an AoE caster or a mage, right? There are moments where you have to jump so your AoE gets an extra bit of range, right? Frost Nova. That's why they tell mages, hey, jump and, you know, hit Frost Nova at the apex. That's when your hitbox is, you know, the biggest to get the fattest Frost Nova. It's also really useful in increasing your skill cap, you know, in AoE farming. So it has all these skill implications. You know, there's so many times where I'd allow myself to be chased in World PvP, you know, knowing, hey, I'm gonna use this festive mug that I have in Slowfall and get away from these guys, because they're probably gonna try to hit their Noggin Fogger, which has, you know, they say it has a 1/3 chance, but it's never Slowfall when you need Slowfall. And it's awesome. There are also other sweet item interactions like the Dreamless Sleep Potion, right? That'll put you to sleep right before you land. So there's all these cool little things you could do with jumping. And again, on top of all that, it just feels good to do, man. It feels freaking amazing. And I kind of mentioned this earlier, but with Warsong Gulch and Druids Jumping, how cool is it that there's pretty much a class in the game where it's like, or in, you know, a style of gameplay with PvP, you have to actually learn how to do jumps properly, and learn a bunch of jumps before you're allowed to really even play this class and role as a flag carrier druid, right? Every Warsong pre-made has that one druid, and it's cool that there's this thing in this game where it's like, okay, I need to learn jumping for the next, a few weeks straight to perfect it. I need to join a bunch of unranked and just, if I'm getting rolled by a premate, just practice jumping off in the corner. And really, when it's premade versus premade and the pressure is on, everyone popped consumes and things like that at the height of its toxicity, it's nerve-wracking hitting those jumps, right? It's so cool that that's an element to the game. I feel like there's just so much to say about jumps in WoW. Honorable mention for the sickest jumping mechanics in the game, or if you can call them that, jumping puzzles. If you land in lava, the game pretty much becomes a rhythm game, and it's because there's this janky aspect to classic WoW on, I guess what they refer to as heartbeat ticks with the server. You don't take any lava damage as long as you're in the air at the right time while swimming through lava. And you can get a weak aura, which makes this a little easier, but it was always funny when people were adamant. I remember my guild, oh, screw that, I don't need the weak aura. I was a drummer, I know my rhythm. And eventually those people would die, lose all their world buffs. And it was always hilarious, right? And just even getting to, Molten Core or BRD, jumping down the chain effectively and managing that fall damage, right? And just seeing that in hardcore WoW where people get cocky, lose to the Undercity, boss, like gravity just becomes like this extra enemy in the game. And, also just using your jump well is going to take you extremely far, right, in hardcore. Not even going to get into hardcore too specifically, but it's even a bigger force there. Arathi Basin, skipping across the water, right? If you have to peel, let's say you're about to go to gold mine and blacksmith has a bunch incoming, and you make that skip across the water on those crates and floating debris, you just feel like a legend, right? That happens to every player probably, one every 50 times they try it if they're really trying really hard for it. The quest at the Thanadol Span, where you have to make that legendary jump, that is like one of the coolest world building things that you can try to you can cheese it, right? There's an invisible part of the chain that you get on top of, but imagine coming across that, right? And just that exploration aspect of like, wait, can I make this jump? And how you can, improve your odds with your base run speed and things like that. There was that really funny moment I remember with Asmongold and Esfand in the beta, where Esfand pops the swiftness pot, makes the jump with ease, and Asmon, falls into the water, has to make that long run back around, right? And it's perfect. And that'll get into the last aspect of this video where I'm saying we're currently in Season of Discovery, and while I love all those organic aspects of jumping puzzles and jumping mechanics, we need a sophisticated Season of Discovery rune where classes are doing jumping puzzles. It is unfair that games with worse jumping mechanics have all the jumping puzzles, right? Final Fantasy XIV. I love the story, but honestly, the way the game feels, it feels like you're walking underwater, right? And that's oh my god. I feel like I just triggered so many people. I love Final Fantasy XIV. I played all the way through. I could talk to you, regarding the story for hours. Absolutely loved everything about it. And one thing I also loved were the jumping puzzles, right? There's this major city, I think it's the capital city of Stormblood expansion, right? Kugane, maybe, I think it's pronounced Kugane. It's like the feudal Japan kind of major city. And there's this awesome freaking jumping puzzle where you get all the way to the top. And I remember it took me like 4 hours one night. I was about to go to sleep and I discovered this thing, right? I was playing through the MSQ, the main story quest, right? And my buddy's like, hey, check out that jumping puzzle. And we start going up it, and I'm instantly addicted, right? And the cherry on top is getting to the top isn't the goal. You get to the top and you have to precisely jump off and calculate your arc that you jumped off, and how you're gonna, your speed and how you're gonna land on a lamppost to get the credit for completing the jump puzzle. I really hope Season of Discovery just gives us a bunch of jumping puzzles. Go crazy. The Twilight infiltrated and caused all these rocks to flow in the air, and you have to jump to the top, right? And make it an area where warlocks can't summon, right? You're not able to do it, so someone can't just summon to the top, and just give us jumping puzzles. The current rune discoveries I don't think go far enough in what WoW has with jumping, right? But I feel like that's the video. I feel like I'm gonna upload this video and have a million more things to say about jumping. But dude, I'll take WoW jumping over, you know, Super Mario World any day. Anyway, that's the video, guys. Let me know what your favorite aspect of jumping is in WoW. Like where you can explore with jumping. Favorite PvP mechanics with jumping. Funniest story you have about how you were bad at jumping, right? Are you unable to make the jumps in BFD? I hope that's not the case. I've missed some of those jumps in BFD. Anyway, let me know what you like about WoW jumping, and let me know if you think we should get some more quirky rune discoveries that take advantage of what this game has. Because there's no reason Guild Wars 2 and Final Fantasy 14 should have actually better content designed around the aspect of hitting your spacebar, right? It's so annoying that Final Fantasy 14 has so many cool jump puzzles, right? Like, and you can do them on the hour, you know, for currency, right, at the gold saucer. If you know what I'm talking about, you know, right? And if you like WoW jumping and you like the jumping puzzles as 14, you know I'm right. Anyway, leave a comment, like, and please subscribe. I'm pretty close to 500, and I should be able to get affiliate or partner, whatever they call that for YouTube, right? Had a lot of hours of listens this year, so appreciate it, guys. Hope you had a good year. Season of Discovery Phase 1 review coming soon. That's all I got.